We want to bring in Vanessa Potkin, Director of Special Litigation at the Innocence Project and co-counsel for Robert Roberson, to join us now. Vanessa, thank you so much for being here with us this evening. I know this is just breaking news in the last 30 minutes. What do we know so far about the halt of Mr. Roberson's execution tonight?
Well, we are just about an hour away from when Robert was scheduled to be executed. And in a very unprecedented move, a judge in Travis County has issued a temporary restraining order because Mr. Roberson has been subpoenaed to testify before the Texas House Committee on Criminal Jurisprudence, who yesterday took up hearings on the application of Texas's junk science statute. This is a law that was put in place to provide relief, excuse me, for people like Robert who were convicted based on science that we know is no longer valid.
Vanessa, talk a little bit more about how big this stay is just a couple of hours before he was scheduled to be executed, as you just mentioned.
Well, this is a culmination of years of fighting to try to correct this injustice. And we've been trying in so many different venues to get relief for Mr. Roberson and to get his innocence claim finally heard. And yesterday was the first day that testimony was presented where experts who talked about what happened to his daughter and why she died. And we were able to finally present that evidence. But it was, of course, before a legislative committee that was looking into the why Texas's junk science statute has not been a pathway to relief so far for Mr. Roberson. So, I mean, to get to this point where we're almost an hour away from when he was scheduled to be executed, and the fight is not over because the Attorney General's office has indicated that they're going to try to appeal this decision.
And I know you mentioned this took years and years upon to prove his innocence, and most recently getting bipartisan legislators involved as well. How are you and your team feeling right now?
Well, it's an unprecedented amount of support. You know, we had over 80 lawmakers, Republicans, Democrats sign on a letter to say this execution needs to be stopped. The lead detective, Brian Wharton, who played a role in arresting Robert and was a key witness at his trial, has come forward to say, I helped send an innocent man to death row based on what I was told was medical evidence, and now we know better. So we've just had such an outpouring of support that you don't see. But what it is reflective of is that people recognize that an innocent man was set to be executed. And if the state officials continue to appeal, we don't want to be in a position where somebody innocent is executed, and months from now, the legislature is able to go back and clarify and make fixes to the law, which was intended for people exactly like Robert Roberson.
And now that there's this stay on his execution today, what's next for his case and Robert Roberson?
Well, we need to make sure that this stays in place, and that the any efforts to undo this are unsuccessful. And then we'll be continuing to fight to get the evidence of his innocence heard by a court. No court has ever listened to some of the new evidence from lung pathologists that show why his daughter died. She had fatal pneumonia, and what was so just unbelievable about the hearings that we saw yesterday before the Texas Committee on Criminal Jurisprudence was that the district attorney in Robert's case came and testified, and she acknowledged that she hasn't even looked at the new expert reports. She has not considered the new evidence of Robert's innocence, and yet she's fighting for this execution to go forward.
Vanessa, thank you so much for joining us at this late hour for this breaking news. Of course, we'll continue to follow any new developments that happened throughout this evening and as this case goes on. Vanessa, again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.